Hello, welcome to episode 12 of the In the Net podcast. Is it coming home or going to Rome? I know where I think it's going. You guys, you both looking forward to the final as much as I am? Ib,
Coming home,
it's
definitely
coming
coming
home. What about you, Hugh?
Just say it. You just say it. Just say it. There you
I
go.
remember it well. Yeah. But no, obviously we'll start off before we talk about the final, just discussing the semi-final games. I think there's only one place to start really, and that was Wembley on Wednesday. England getting past Denmark. What did you both think of the game?
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with that. Didn't make it easy. But I think we can all agree that the way Denmark have been playing last couple of games, it wasn't going to be easy. But yeah, we probably made it a bit more harder than it should have been. But overall, apart from like a 20-minute spell, I think from like the 15th to about the 35th minute where Denmark played really well. Apart from that, I would say England was a better team.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you reckon, Hugh? Yeah, I mean, you could argue that, but I do think the goal gave us a bit of a kick up the bum maybe to get going a bit.
Yeah.
Would
I guess a big positive, obviously, we haven't considered a goal from open play yet. So defensively, he's looking solid still. Maguire, I think he's just I think end of last season with United, people like United fans especially, me being one of them, wasn't really convinced. And then when he got injured and having Bailly and Lindelof at the back, we realized how much we needed Maguire. And then I think this tournament has kind of solidified that.
yeah,
People
and
just realized that wow, this guy is a serious player.
with Maguire, I think the perfect example of how good he is the Europa League final. That ball that comes in the box where um, Villarreal scored. Maguire's heading that clear if he's on the pitch.
Mm.
And yeah, I think people were questioning when he comes straight back into the side once he got fit. Was that harsh on Mings? Well, yeah, it was harsh on Mings, but Mings have played well, but ultimately Harry Maguire's a better player than him. So he's come in and he's proved Southgate right, and he's been an absolute rock. And I can't believe he got booked for heading the ball either. No, crazy.
No, I don't think it was a penalty, but if you look at in like the last couple of tournaments that England have been in and the decisions that have gone against England, you take it that you're not, you know what I mean? Like they always say that it evens out, and yeah, I think it's about time that the decision went England's way. So, but yeah, in terms of was it a clear penalty? Probably not. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think it sort of falls into the category of one of those where you've seen them given, and if it's against your team, you are absolutely fuming. But if your team gets it, like we did, and it ends up winning you the game, you think, yeah, there's a bit of contact. But I don't know. I've seen a lot of professional footballers coming out and saying on Twitter and things like that that slow motion it looks like nothing, but when you're caught like that in your full speed, it's you feel it. But yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to convince anyone. It was a soft penalty, and if Denmark had got that and they'd have gone through, I'd be gutted. But I still think we did enough to win the game. I think from 70 minutes onwards, there was only one team in it, and that was us. And I think, I mean, Kasper Schmeichel, some of the saves he made. I mean, the one especially from Maguire's header from the set play where he just seemed to, I don't know, he seemed to slow down time to get across to it and just got his big hand on it. But then he saves the penalty, and I bet he's disappointed he didn't hold on to it because it wasn't exactly a firm strike from Kane, and it's fell back in front of him, and he slammed it in. But would you have given the penalty if you were in charge of the VAR, Hugh? Yeah, prefer. Yeah,
Yeah, no, definitely top three. Definitely top three keepers in the league for sure.
and I think the big thing about him is not only has he had to deal with being a smaller goalie because he's not like the biggest keeper, and keepers are generally big now. I mean, tomorrow you've got Donnarumma, who's a big lad, but he's also had to deal with being Peter Schmeichel's son, and
He wasn't
like
bad.
that's a
He wasn't bad, was he?
oh no, exactly. But now he has had a career where he's mentioned in his own right now, and it's completely deserved because
Hmm.
he's been with Leicester for a good few years now, and I mean, hopefully for a good few more because I love watching him in the Premier League. Like
Hmm.
you said, Hugh, he's definitely up there for me in the Premier League and the world.
Can I just say, Hugh and Lamb had Chilwell for left back.
I mean, come
Tough.
on, that's just embarrassing, Hugh.
That was you picking the team with your Liverpool goggles on, you. Look, this is probably United bias coming in, but I would say the best left back in the world right now. Give me one left back. Say, come on, man. 2018, 2019, maybe. No, 2019, 20. But last season, based on that season, no one's touching Shaw. Especially, I'm sure even Roberto Carlos recently came out and said something about Shaw. Mhm.
Why are we talking about two Liverpool players that aren't in the squad?
Mhm.
Just look, Shaw is the best left back that there's ever been. It's Shawberto Carlos, mate. And
Yeah.
there's nothing you can say to change my mind. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to be harsh on Shaw, but I think there probably is a better left back in the world at the moment. But like you say, who is it? Because but then I mean, regardless of whether he's the best in the world or the best in the league, it's unbelievable that he's come back from that injury because
Mm.
he nearly lost his leg in that, and to be able to come back and go through being absolutely battered by Mourinho every week, and to come out there on the other side, maybe that stood him in good stead, the battering that Mourinho gave him over the longer term. But I just think he's done so well to come back, and I'm so pleased because when he went to United from Southampton, I know it was United or Chelsea were going to sign him. He was so good for Southampton. I was just convinced that that's it. He's just going to go on and he's going to be our left back for years. And now, yeah, he could be. But I mean, I do think Shaw's better and he's had a better season. But I mean, if he does go out of form, then Chilwell's a perfectly adequate player to come in. And I just think we're blessed with depth in areas that we've never had it before. Because yeah, I just think we're in such a good place going forward. Well, yeah, yeah, no, we're really blessed, man. So blessed, and like, I mean, I don't want to wish my life away because we've got the final of the Euros tomorrow, but the World Cup's going to be a banger next year as well.
Um, it seems so long ago now because of the England game and the emotions and everything. Because the Spain versus Italy game just seems so long ago. I don't remember. Obviously, Morata. I feel sorry for the guy, man. I just feel like obviously because of him, they got through to extra time and penalties. His goal, and it's actually a really, really good goal. What was it? Right foot took it in his stride and then finished it with his left in it. From what I remember, really, really nice goal, nice little run. Um, but yeah, he just it's just haunting him, isn't it? Just when it matters, he just doesn't seem to make it count. And I think especially like I think start of the tournament, from what I was hearing, he was having like death threats and whatnot coming his way because he wasn't banging them in. So it's just getting worse now. Um,
Yeah, I felt sorry for him because yeah, he'd been getting death threats and I think even his family have been sort of
yeah,
affected by it.
targeted, right?
I mean, for goodness sake, I love football as much as the next person, but there's just no need for that. They're just going out and he's not going out there with the aim of trying to miss these chances. He's going out there and he's trying his best. So I mean, yeah, there's just no need for it. And you could, when he missed that penalty, I was just like, no. I was just praying that Italy would then miss, and then whoever won after that, it wouldn't matter. But for it to be on him, I just felt so harsh. Just a bit of a technical problem, people. Also, yeah, go for it. That's right. Should we just carry on from now rather than start? Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fine. It doesn't matter. We're learning as we go. Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I mean, I didn't really watch the 90 minutes because I foolishly said I'd go and watch my local team Western play against Exeter City Reserves. So
What
who's the real winner there?
happened?
I got to watch Dale Grubb while you were watching Insigne and
Who won?
Western did 2-1.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, yeah, from what I can't even remember the game. Like I said, when especially with tournament football, so much happens that when you watch the game after, you forget what happened the game before. And so I don't even remember the game clearly. But from what I do remember, the only name that stands out is Morata because of what he's going through and what happened with him and the goal he scored. Um, but yeah, Max, me and you, we had England and Italy down as not really like dark horses as if like they're tiny small countries coming
Yeah.
in, but again no one would have predicted England and Italy final, right? Well, I don't think they would have.
Yeah, no, I think it's obviously it's two of the bigger nations in terms of football around the world. But I mean, we said before Italy didn't qualify for the previous World Cup. They've got no real star players now, although there's a few that have come to the fore during this tournament. But the same with England. It's almost like you're just expecting something to go wrong because we're just so used to it. So yeah, like you say, not dark horses in the truest sense of the word, but definitely two teams that weren't going to be everyone's favourite. And I just hope your dark horse beats my dark horse, to be honest, because much rather England win it than be right about that. To be fair.
Yeah.
All right, guys, can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
loud and clear. Sorry, there was a bit of technical difficulties, so my mic just dropped off. But to continue on with what you guys were discussing, let's talk more about what we mentioned before the start of the tournament. So you also mentioned the dark horses. So yeah, as Max said, he hoped Ibby's dark horse, which was England, would beat his dark horse, which was Italy. Safe to say that myself and Lamb got it completely wrong. I possibly jokingly said Wales, but probably was half serious about it, given the what the justifications that I tried to make with Bale and Ramsey. But other than that, for a country the size of Wales to get to a semi-final in 2016 and to get through the round of 16 this time round, I think that's still a phenomenal achievement for the country. And Lamb also said something that his ancestors would be very, very ashamed of, and he went with Turkey as their dark horse. And yeah, safe to say that Turkey didn't quite get past the group stages.
Yeah, that's an understatement, Hugh. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought they well, with the third place team qualifying, I thought they'd definitely get through, but they were pants.
Yeah.
I don't know why anybody would think Turkey would be getting just utter fool. But yeah, no, yeah, strange one. But all credit to Wales, like you say. They're a small nation. Football's not even their primary sport, and yeah, they're
Wait,
out
what
there.
is their primary sport?
Rugby,
Oh,
innit?
rugby.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they're doing their country proud, and fair play to them. Scotland could learn a lot from Wales.
On behalf of anyone, on behalf of Internet Podcast, if anyone's watching from Scotland or listening from Scotland, please do not take that comment seriously. You do have some phenomenal players like Scott McTominay, Che Adams, Andy Robertson.
Oh,
You thought I wouldn't mention that one.
Yeah, wow, he's opened up with the United player. What's up with it?
Yeah, he's saving
Kieran
Robertson.
Tierney. Okay. Other than that,
Darren Fletcher.
Dan Fletcher's still playing.
No.
Are you mad? Okay, moving on to our other predictions with winners, and I think it's safe to say that we all got this one completely wrong. I predicted Belgium. Both yourselves, so Ibby and Max went for France, and then Lam went for Portugal. And it's safe to say that of those four, three of the predictions were from Group F, those two teams being France and Portugal, and neither France or Portugal, and for that as well, Germany made it past the round of 16. So it's the so-called Group of Death, which, let's be fair, I think all three of the teams struggled against Hungary. So this so-called Group of Death didn't even make it to the quarters or the semis, which is surprising.
Do you think that's because they've had to try and reach a level so early in the tournament? Whereas teams like England and Italy, they've almost had an easier route, which I don't really completely agree with that whole argument, but they've been allowed the opportunity to build their way into the tournament. And I mean, England for sure are playing better in each knockout game.
No, I think that's a fair point. And the other thing as well, I think with France, compared to say Portugal, how did Belgium go? I can't even remember.
Belgium went out to Italy 2-1.
2-1, that's it.
Yeah.
And Portugal to Belgium, right? No.
Yep.
Portugal.
Torgan Hazard scored that amazing goal.
Yeah. So, and whereas with France, to be fair to me and Max is defending our choice there, I think it was like a freak result in the sense that France at one point cruising at 3-1 and then 2 goals in 4 minutes or something, 5 minutes, and then went into penalties. Not to say that Switzerland didn't deserve it. They obviously, if you can take a big nation that far, then you 100% deserve to win the game. But yeah, I don't think it wasn't like they were outplayed, or I just think it was one of them massive upsets that just went wrong for France.
Yeah, I agree with you, to be honest. I think they were sort of so comfortable, and then to concede those 2 goals, I think it just completely scrambled them. And I mean, you'd be a mug to write them off from winning the next World Cup and defending the trophy. But I do think this tournament has shown that there are nations that have sort of caught up a bit with France, and that includes us. I think I think we've shown ourselves to be no mugs, and Italy as well. They've shown themselves to be a really good, entertaining team, and I mean, yeah, I'm really worried about that front three on the weekend, but yeah, France, not unlucky losers, but certainly it was a strange game, one of those where there's always a couple of them in every tournament, isn't there?
Yeah, well, to sound like...
Sorry, Abby, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, not to sound like, Mike Lowen or Jermaine Genius here, but it's one of them ones where you feel as if France didn't lose that game to a freakish result, they probably would have went on to win it, in the sense that I think it would have needed a result like that to beat France. I know they lost in the group. They lost in the group stages, didn't they? Who was it? Who they lost to? Was it Portugal? No. Who did France lose to? Germany.
No, they drew with Hungary.
Oh, they drew with Hungary. Yeah. So in order to, I think, Yeah, had they not lost to Switzerland, I think they would have went all the way. But it needed like that freak result to get them out, I think.
I also think, yeah, what I wanted to add was I also think that for the French team, because they were, if I remember correctly, they were 1-0 down to begin with, or it was 1-0 and 1-1. And then eventually what happened was they went 2-1 up and then 3-1 up.
Great goal by Pogba.
Yeah, great goal by Pogba, but I think when he scored, they probably thought, oh, we've just played good football for like 10-20 minutes. We've scored 2 goals. We've got the advantage now. We've probably already won this match. And then they weren't expecting Switzerland to come back in the way that they did. And I think they were just shell-shocked in the sense that what was a game that was totally in their control, it just went out of their hands. And
No, I think the France players seen that dance that Pogba did and thought, well, that's it then.
Yeah.
We're done.
Who won the World Cup?
Yeah. But no, I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate because obviously you do want to see the best players in the world playing in the biggest games, but it's what these major tournaments are about because it gives sides a 90-minute opportunity to go out there and do it, and Switzerland did it. Fair play to them.
And Mbappe never really got going in the tournament, did he? Either.
Nope, not at all.
So,
I mean, he even missed a penalty to see him go out, didn't he? So
yeah, and that's the thing with England, I think. Like, if you've got players who aren't firing at the moment with the depth that England have, you've always got someone else to come in. So, like at the start of the tournament, we all had Foden as probably one of the star players going into it, but he's not firing. But you've got Sterling.
Sterling's
doing his thing.
unbelievable.
And this season as well, the season that went, sorry, it was the other way around. It was Foden who was the star man for City, and Sterling wasn't getting a look in at all. And then in the tournament, it's the other way around completely.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Sterling was unbelievable the other night, and I've got a feeling tomorrow that those sort of driving runs where he commits defenders, I think that they could be really fruitful for us again. Obviously, Bonucci and Chiellini are a different level to Vestergaard, but I don't know. I think he's going to be key again. I really do. I just can't wait. So, what would any of you guys make a change from the starting 11? Because Southgate's never named the same England team twice in a row for like a million years. Personally, I think tomorrow is the first time that he does name the same team 2 games in a row.
I agree.
I would swap Mount for Foden. Mount was good, but he wasn't. I don't think he was that exceptional. I don't think he was amazing. He had a good game, I think.
I think with Mount, I think in the last game, I think what he was best at was his defensive work in the first half, especially.
Yeah.
I thought he was unbelievable. Some of the sort of defensive play he did. So it wouldn't surprise me if Southgate did swap it, but I do think, like, it's a valid point, and it's definitely one of the things that the England staff will be thinking about. But I just think that he'll start with Mount, knowing that he can bring Foden on, bring Grealish on, if we need it.
There's a bit of a. Do you really want to go into playing your number 10? Because technically he's a number. Like if you're playing Mount or Foden, whoever, you've got Rice and Phillips protecting, and then you've got one player ahead of them two. Do you really want to be picking that player based on his defensive work? But I hear what you're saying though. What Mount was doing the other day was unbelievable.
I just think the reason he picked Mount is because he knows Mount is up and down. Like Mount has played some lovely balls in other games at the further end of the pitch where he's clipped balls over to Sterling and clipped balls over to the wingers to Shaw or whatever on the reverse pass sort of thing.
Don't get me wrong, I think he will play Mount, but I'm saying I would like to see Foden. But I think it will be the same 11.
I know what you mean, and also on the right hand side, I think he'll start Saka, but I would be tempted to start Sancho or Rashford and just really go at him with the pace. But sort of just going on sort of how Gareth's handled the tournament, I think that's what I think is most likely, that we go unchanged.
I think Saka, he does bring a lot of quality going forward. He's going to take players on similar to Sancho, but he does offer. He's phenomenal, and he also has that defensive qualities. I know he's been playing at wing back occasionally for Arsenal, But if you want to basically match them, especially if you think of on the right hand side, they may not have Spinazzola anymore, but Emerson, from what we know and how he plays at Chelsea, even though he doesn't really get a look in since Chilwell's been performing well, he's an attacking fullback. And then if you're thinking who's going to be in front of him, it's probably going to be Insigne, who's probably going to be the more creative playmaking threat, because the players that we don't want to see on the ball are Verratti. We don't want to see Insigne on the ball, and to some extent, if he plays, Chiesa, yeah. There's still a question mark on whether Chiesa or Berardi will start, but given how Chiesa's performed over the last 2 games, I think he has to make that 11 for Italy.
And just carrying on what you said about Saka against Denmark, it was such a mature performance for him, because he'd been picked, like you say, because he's played at wing back before. Although he was on the right, he's played left wing back. But all through that game, obviously England press, but the one player we never pressed was the left-sided centre-back. So Saka never got sucked into pressing him, which would have left the ball on to Marla. But for 19, is he 19, Saka?
I think he's
not once did Saka forget that his job was to cut that channel off to Marla, and I think he was great. And I was worried when he come off for Grealish, because I thought, is Sterling going to carry on blocking that ball out? But yeah, no, whatever happens, we're blessed with so many talented players that whoever starts, you got to think that they're going to do the job.
And to be fair to him, he took his chance. I think start of the tournament, I don't even know if Gareth Southgate had him like thinking that he'd be playing as much as he is.
For sure.
I think they probably put him on. Was it final group game or the second
final
one?
Group game? But I think he played both the friendlies, so they had a good look at him in the friendlies, didn't they?
Yeah, and yeah, he just took his chance, and yeah, like you said, was like a very mature performance. But also, if I'm honest with you, last season I didn't really watch Arsenal much. I know the couple of games that I did watch him, like Hugh said, he played left wing back, and so I didn't really get to see his attacking threat, if you like, but his close control of the ball as well, unbelievable.
Really
is and I'm thinking, wow, like this boy's talented.
Needs a move to a big club. That's what he needs.
I thought we. I'm not even gonna joke about calling Arsenal and even raising the question if they are still a big club after our Arsenal v Leicester debate a few episodes ago. One thing I wanted to touch on before I have a few quick fire questions for both of you is the fact that England and Italy are in the final. Now, aside from Scotland, who have travelled the least across the entire tournament, so this is a bit of a 2-part question. Let's start with the first one. So, as I said, England and Italy, aside from Scotland, are the 2 teams which have travelled the least across the tournament. So, Italy started off in Rome in all 3 of their group games. England played all of theirs at Wembley in the group stages. Then they travelled to Rome for the quarterfinals, but in terms of round 16, England v Germany was also in Wembley. On the other hand, Italy, in the round of 16, had to travel to London, and then in the quarterfinals, they had to travel to Munich and then back to Wembley. Whereas you have teams like Switzerland who had to fly all over the place from Rome to Baku to, I think they accumulated a total of like 19,000 kilometers like across the tournament. Do you think the traveling has played an impact? And second of all, what do you think of this whole tournament format where we do have multiple cities hosting across Europe?
I'll answer your second one first, because I think it's absolutely ridiculous, let alone during a pandemic. So yeah, I mean, it's just bonkers. The whole thing about the Euros is that country, and the World Cup is that country hosting and showcasing the best of that country, and we've just not got that this year. I mean, yeah, it's bonkers, and I'm glad that the bloke at UEFA has come out and said that he won't be back in one of these again if it does get raised. But yeah, the travelling has probably come into it, but it is what it is. I mean, we can't moan about it. We wouldn't moan about it because we've been at home every game, but people shouldn't moan about it. That's just a tournament. It wasn't like UEFA asked the FA, right, if you just plan out this tournament so that it sits right for you and hopefully you win. That's not how it happened. It's just England won their group, which meant their games then stay at Wembley. We could have easily come second, and then we'd have been going to Baku or wherever it was. So yeah, I think it's a failed argument. And also, does that mean that Qatar are going to win the World Cup next year? No.
They are the Asian champions. just bear that in mind. But then again, they did have an invite
to Myanmar in the final.
Okay, yeah. All jokes aside, they are the Asian champions. But then again,
nice to know Max takes Asian football seriously. Big laugh.
Jeez, guys, come on. This right. You know what? Any argument I'll make is flawed. So you know what? I'll leave it as that. I can talk about Qatar at a later episode, but Ibby, your thoughts on the whole tournament format and whether traveling has had any impact on the tournament?
To be honest, like Max, I don't really have a lot to say on it, in the sense that it is what it is. They've planned it how they planned it. I guess it's a conversation for the authorities and people higher up. Like, as a fan, I just want to see football, and unless like my team is massively affected by it, I don't really have a lot to say on it, to be honest.
Okay, that's a fair point. Just for the record, I was wrong about the total distance traveled. It was Switzerland who had to travel the most, but it was 15,450. That's just.
And David's right. So
yeah. It's kind of like a point invalidated, and Scotland travelled the least and still crashed out of the groups. But it is what it is, as you said. I think it was a great idea at the time. Just because if you think about it, like Bucharest, Budapest, in terms of the Puskás Arena, I don't think they would ever have had a chance to host a tournament otherwise. But unfortunately, the pandemic kind of just threw everything out of proportion.
What UEFA should do is, sorry, Hugh, is the Nations League, if they're going to persevere with that, put the finals in these cities like Budapest and things like that. And because a country like that is just not viable on a socio-economic scale to host the Euros. They haven't got the bottomless pit of money like Qatar have to just chuck up a load of stadiums that will then never be used. So yeah, like you say, that is a good point, that cities that otherwise wouldn't be involved in major tournaments. So.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I guess the next Euros will be in Germany anyway, so it'll be a bit more restored to normality, per se. So a few quick fire questions to end the show. So the first one is, has there been a team that has surprised you in the tournament? Now if we reflect back.
What, negative or positive, or either?
Either way.
Hungary.
For me, even though I said dark horses, England, the performances, not conceding from, especially defensively, I've always especially the recent teams, historically, defensively, we've been solid with Ferdinand, Terry, Campbell, big players like that. I think going into this one, I thought one area of weakness would be centre backs. But yeah, just looks solid.
Do you think, obviously Southgate was a defender, do you think he realises that, and that's why we've had the approach we've had?
What kind of approach? As in the two holding?
As in the two holding, yeah. Because like I personally, I've got no problem. I'm not one of these that was like, oh, why are we playing? But how many times have we seen England go in and smash the group stages like 5-0, 4-0, 3-1 or whatever, and then come up against a decent team in the next round and we don't know what to do because they're actually attacking us?
I think Southgate said it himself actually after the game against, was it Germany?
Germany, yeah.
Where he said, if I pick this team and I get it wrong, then I'm dead. Yeah, and I think that's why that Mourinho gets slated as much as he does now, because he picks defensive teams and then he goes out and he loses. Whereas once upon a time he was getting those wins. Now it's just not happening for him, and that's why he is getting killed in the media. Like, Mourinho is not the same manager as he was and things like that. And so I think Southgate knows very well that if any of those results where he picked, I wouldn't say like it's overly defensive minded, but it's still with the two holding, he would have been slated, and I don't know, maybe like his job would have been on the line. But now he's gone to a final, he's got nothing to lose, right? Even if he loses to Italy, I'm sure he'll be there next year for the World Cup and probably beyond that as well. So, and no one could
Hope so.
question him. I was one of the doubters as well. Like, I'm happy to put my hands up and say that I can. I saw a recent article about one again. This, you could probably classify this person as a hater or whatever, but he was saying that England have got to the final, um, not because of Southgate, but in spite of Southgate. Now, I'm not saying that he's right, but you're always going to get that words. That's my point. My point is, no matter, and I'm more than happy to put my hand up and actually say, do you know what? With the crop of players he's actually got it right, because he must have done to get to the final. You can't say he's got it wrong. So
And,
for sure,
and
I think he's made me eat my words, and not just me. I think probably 80% of the population, I think,
yeah,
probably doubted him, especially because of the last World Cup as well. I think we had quite an easy route until we faced two hard teams, which we lost to. So you can't say people are wrong for having. We're at the end of the day, all football fans have the right to have their own opinions, right?
oh, of course, yeah.
So, so yeah.
And the one thing I'll say about Gareth before Hugh gives his tuppence is he's got some big cojones because, like you say, I mean, even pulling Grealish off in the halftime of extra time after only bringing him on the 75th minute.
Mm.
I mean, to do that, to have the courage and your convictions to do that and sort of say, look, if I'm gonna lose my job over this England team, then I want it to be over my decisions, not me pandering to the public screaming, because so many times we've done that. I mean, I think years ago, Sven named his starting 11 for a tournament about 2 months before the tournament started. And what does that say to the rest of the squad? Like they're not going to be busting a gut to get in the team because, as far as they're concerned, whatever they do isn't going to work.
Mm.
And I just love the fact that when we beat Ukraine, I think Southgate turned around to the subs and to the players that weren't playing a part in the game, and he spoke to each of them individually. And he had a little cuddle with Grealish and must have said, "Look, I didn't need you in this game to win it because we'd already won, but trust me, you're getting on the pitch in these last two games," kind of thing.
Mm.
Yeah, I have nothing to add to that. As Ibby said, like as with most England fans, I think I was wrong in terms of judging Southgate with his tactics, and he's proved us wrong. He's got it right. And what do we know about football? I mean,
By the
sometimes
way, I was going to say as well, I wanted to mention that I knew that you fully gone full on into the England team when I seen your Instagram stories.
yeah.
I thought Liverpool were playing when I was reading them.
Oh goodness sake! I mean, the thing is that as I said, it was very very tense in the first half, and then when we conceded, they needed a response, and at times in the first half, we started very well, but for some reason it just got all panicky all of a sudden. But yeah, credit to Southgate. I was wrong, and he's proven not just myself, but as Ibby said, a lot of people wrong as well, and he was right. And that's all I can say.
Do you know what I really dislike this? Sorry, just to add.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people on Twitter and stuff like that who they always think like they've got this, I don't know, like righteousness where like you can't criticize. Do you get it? And I don't
Yeah.
like that. I just think like you can, if you watch football, you have the right to say, oh, I don't like this manager, and do you get it? Like they're like, oh, you're not in this position, you're not a manager, so how can you say that? It's just like, well, we have been, not just me, there's people who are obviously older than me watching football for 30, 40 years. They have the right to have an opinion.
And that's what makes football what it is, because everybody watches it and everybody's got
Yeah.
an opinion.
Yeah, that's
Like-
every sport, isn't it? Like you don't have to go into the octagon to have an opinion about McGregor, or do you know what I mean? That you can have an opinion by being a fan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And I think the thing is that everyone's entitled to opinions, and it really boils down to two things. If you're emotionally attached to it and you criticize your team like some certain YouTube channels do, I'm not naming names, but you probably know. Oh, are you pointing at me? Okay. Yeah, there is some bias to that, yeah. But yeah, ultimately, for like, if you are emotionally attached to a team and then you criticize things and you go overboard without really constructively providing any argument or analysis behind it, then it just makes your point invalid. And Max, you probably think half of my points are probably invalid, especially when Liverpool play, but that's a completely different story. I mean, if you have something to say and you can back it up, then I don't see anything that's wrong with it. And as you said, people have been watching this for years.
Before we wrap up,
yeah,
I want a score prediction and a little 30-second of how you think the game's going to go from both of you.
Before we do that, there's actually a few things that I want to say. I didn't say who my surprise packages were. I was slightly disappointed by Belgium, if I'm honest with you. I have to say my surprise package was probably Denmark. Because after everything that's happened, they managed to get to the semi-final. They rallied behind the team. The fans were behind them every way. And they were probably everyone's second favourite team behind their home countries or whoever they were rooting for. And to be fair, their first 2 games, you can tell they were completely shocked by what happened. But coming back in the final game against Russia, the way that they did, and then they just pressed on from there. I know Wales gave them a helping hand with that 4-0 win. But you've got to give them credit for everything they've achieved, given everything that's happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, props to Denmark for that. The one other question that I wanted to ask to you before we go into predictions and just analysis of the game is, who do you think has been the player of the tournament, or which young star do you think is one to watch? Possibly actually a question, both questions and answers to both.
Max, want to go first?
He only played in one game, but that was it. Doku, the one that plays
Jeremy Doku from Rennes.
Yeah, he looked really lively. So yeah, he's one that I'm going to look forward to seeing more of in the future. But in terms of player of the tournament, I mean, I'm going to pick one from each of the finalists, and I'm going to say Sterling for England, and for Italy, it would have been Spinazzola. I think he was unbelievable in up until he got injured, and I think against Spain that might have been why they weren't as impressive.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Ib?
I'm just going to keep it short, Sterling.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So right,
things tomorrow then.
Just before I answer that, I guess my one to watch was probably between Pedri, but I think actually now that I think about it, Mikkel Damsgaard from Denmark as well. 21 years old, and I think he's one to watch for the future as well. And I'm pretty sure he'll go to a big club, and he stepped into Eriksen's shoes when it really mattered. And I agree with you with Spinazzola and Sterling, like both of you said Sterling anyway. But yeah, I guess going on to predictions.
You go first, Steve.
Is football coming home? I really hope it does. I will take a 1-0 win with Harry Kane to score and Sterling to provide the assist. Honestly, if we can stay defensively solid, if we don't concede a set piece like we did against Denmark, unfortunately, but in terms of the matches before, we still haven't conceded a goal from open play. So if we can keep up that defense and we manage to get control of the midfield and somewhat manage to get some attacking chances, I'm hopeful that we can actually bring it home.
So 1-0, yeah?
I'm going 1-0, yeah. Ib?
Yeah.
I'm going 2-0 England. Yeah, confident. Defensively solid. I actually think quite a few chances as well being created. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm 2-0. I just think that with the two sitting midfielders, Rice and Phillips, I think we'll sort of be able to cope with that attacking three that they've hit so many teams on the counter with. And I just think with the players we got at the other end of the pitch, I think we'll create enough chances for Kane to get on the end of one or two, or Sterling picking one up at the back post like he has done a couple of times. So yeah, it seems that we're all pretty unanimous in that.
Yeah.
But it is coming home then, Hugh.
Yeah.
Well, we shall see from tomorrow.
Now, if we lose 1-0, Hugh, that's because you jinxed it.
Yeah.
No, I'm not buying that. Come on, guys, don't throw me under the bus like that.
Are you gonna wrap up, Hugh?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, Is football coming home, or will it be going to Rome? We will find out from tomorrow onwards, and I guess let's hope for the best for England. It's been a month of football, and to be fair, I've enjoyed it. It's probably been one of the most enjoyable tournaments to watch, especially with all the different stadiums, all different venues, a lot of own goals, which we haven't seen in tournaments before. But yeah, to wrap up, come on England, and let's hope that Harry Kane and boys can bring it home. But just before we close out, I just want to say, if you are watching this on YouTube, then be sure to drop us a subscribe on our channel. And then we are also available on other social media platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So that's at Internet Podcast for both Twitter and Instagram. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/Internet Podcast. We do have a SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Internet Podcast. And we are also available on Spotify. So all of our episodes will be available on that. Anything else from anyone before we close out?
Yeah, just one thing.
Just this, it's coming home. That's all.
Are you playing that through? Fair enough. Okay, and on that note, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening if you are listening through playback, and we hope to see you soon. In the next episode, we will be covering the Euros finals, but we'll also be covering some of the Copa America and also rolling on to pre-season. I think Max is enjoying Three Lions too much. But anyways, thank you and good night, goodbye, and yeah.
Yeah, England.